Murder Inc. And that angelic voice you hear in the background. Oh, that's how.
Welcome back to the show. On the line with us is Dr. Michael Shermer, publisher of Skeptic Magazine, a monthly columnist for Scientific American, a professor at Claremont Graduate University, and author of Why People Believe Weird Things, and his book, The Believing Brain, is coming out soon. Dr. Shermer, are you there?
Yep. Hi.
Hi, thanks for being with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I thought this was, we'd been planning to have you on, and I'm really excited to talk to you, but it is a week for science news and also skeptic news, because we have millions of dead fish, millions of dead birds all over the world, and it's definitely Armageddon, right?
Yeah, I think it's the end of the world. This is it. I guess I was wrong. So if it's not too late, can I still get in there?
Oh, fantastic. See, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I'm going to describe to you, because you're on the phone, but our viewers are going to see a picture. And I figured this out, Dr. Shermer. Now, a cartoon of a dead fish, it has an X over the eye, right? Then
Yeah.
we know it's dead. Now I want to show everyone what we've been seeing on the back of cars for the last couple of years. It's a Christian fish with a cross as the eyes. It looks dead.
That's too funny.
Have
See,
I
it's a
proven my
sign.
case? It's a sign.
It's
I
a
know.
sign. The end is nigh. Repent. Actually, what I would like to tell people is, if you actually believe this is the end of the world, can I have your house?
Right.
And if I'm wrong, then you can just donate the house to the Skeptic Society. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We will take your house and cars if you think it's the end of the world.
I like that plug. So, what do you think that we are always seeing a bunch of dead birds and dead fish, or that there's something particularly weird about this?
Oh, well, I think it's a clustering effect, just a random statistical clustering effect where, for example, if you throw up a handful of pennies up in the air, and when they will not land and splatter perfectly, randomly, evenly spaced on the ground. They will cluster just by chance. And if you look at the clusters of pennies that are close together and say, well, there must be something drawing them together, some mystical force or something like that, that would be an error in thinking, because, in fact, much of the world is just random. So birds and fish and cattle and whatnot sporadically go through die-offs. They just do. They do for a variety of reasons having to do with disease or extreme weather conditions or lightning strikes or whatever. And if it happens by chance that a couple of these things occur in the same week or within the adjacent days, we tend to notice that. Our minds are designed by evolution to notice coincidences like that and impart meaning to them, and so we do. We think it's a conspiracy or the end of the world, or it's the latest one I heard was it's ARP, the DARPA Department of Defense thing up in Alaska that's sending out these mystical vibrations.
That was my first assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah, always.
So that's just what we do, and I think, we don't have a full explanation of the die-off yet, but it's most likely probably due to extreme weather conditions, maybe that fireworks thing for some of those birds, but more likely because of global warming, there's more moisture in the air, and so there's more extreme everything. It's the hottest of hottest days, it's the coldest of coldest days, it's the windiest, it's the strongest tornadoes, it's the most climate change. Global warming is not quite the right term, it's global climate change. So you're going to see more extremes, which are going to cause more extreme conditions that cause fish and birds to die off, things like that. I think that's most likely what it'll be explained as.
Yeah, a lot of the reports that I've been reading have said things like, and previously unreported dead animals showing up here, which means that we get that a lot, it's just not reported on.
Right. So, of course, the media, by focusing on the cluster effect, triggers in our minds that there must be some causal mechanism behind the clustering, when in fact it's just randomness. It's the same as the stock market, it's just there's a lot of randomness that goes on, and analysts will look for some deeper cause when in fact there is nothing to look for.
Okay, so you heard it here first. The world is ending. Dr. Michael Shermer said it on my show.
Right.
We're going to edit this out so it just says the world's ending and give me your house.
Yes,
and,
that's it.
So I wanted to talk to you about this. There was a new there was a new study that came out that said that, and it was reported on 80% of Americans believe that or don't believe in evolution, was the headline. And I wanted to get it up for our viewers to show this graph. And now it has in the last, it has since 1982 to 2010 that, in 1982 there were 44% of Americans believed that God created the world 10,000 years ago. And now it's down to 40%. And you have the people who believe in secular evolution to almost have doubled from 9% of people to now 16% of people. But what I wanted to ask you, Dr. Shermer, because there are, now it says 38% of Americans believe that, yes, evolution is true, but God did it. And I'm wondering if it's not the way that this is framed, it's the phrase that they use to get to do these polls, that like, there are certain people that if you ask them, if you ask them how the iPad came into being, who invented the iPad, they would say God did it, even though we can show them proof of how it went, or how it came into being, that it's not more of a theistic tick to attribute something to God than it is people who actually don't believe in evolution.
Right. Well, the iPad analogy is an interesting one because that is in fact what we're doing. We can see artificial design, and we can see the designer and the design process as it occurs in the case of technological products. What our minds then do is say, well, okay, something in nature looks designed, therefore the analogy must hold that there's a designer, even though we've never ever seen this designer or even seen the design process at work like we would if we visited the Apple production headquarters for iPad. So that's the error in cognition there, is making an analogy between products of technology and products of nature. You can kind of see why people would think that, though. Looks designed, must be designed. We have a lot of experience with designed objects that we know are intelligently designed because we made them.
Right.
So that's just, again, what our minds do. They're sort of designed by nature, if you will, to do that. It's unfortunate, but we're always going to be bumped up against that. Nevertheless, Northern European countries don't have anything like those statistics. Intelligent design has had a very difficult time getting a toehold in Europe. So there's obviously something else going on culturally. It's not just a cognitive problem. It's a infusion of religion. It's the perception that science in general and evolutionary theory in particular is a threat to religion in America. That's almost exclusively an American phenomenon. So that does tell us not just a genetic cognitive problem, it's also a cultural one.
Yeah, it's almost like throwing salt over your shoulder for bad luck, or for good luck. I'm sorry, to ward off bad luck or whatever it is. But that there's almost it. We don't want to say, there's this paranoia that if you don't say God did it, even though you agree with the science. I'm just trying to make myself feel better. I don't want to live in a country where 80% of the people walking around do not believe in evolution, that just flat out deny science. So I'm trying to figure out, there has to be another explanation, whether there are people out there. I mean, it can't be only 20% of Americans who believe in science, who believe in showing evidence and basing an opinion off of evidence.
Yeah.
You're supposed to cheer me up.
Well, the trend is getting better. I mean, the numbers you just gave show that it's trending toward
right. And what I thought was interesting is that the numbers, it was actually siphoned off the people who believe that the world was created 10,000 years ago. Those numbers were siphoned off to the people who believe in just straight secular evolution.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, so there's hope. We're getting there. Just be patient.
Okay, so
we're doing our job.
Years, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because you said in your book Why People Believe Weird Things, which I really enjoyed, and there's your plug. that the onus is not on people who believe in evolution to prove evolution. The onus is on a creationist to prove that creation happened. But I'm just wondering if there isn't, if it's more of an argument of scientific literacy and informing the general populace of what science is, instead of, I think there's this kind of, you said, a fear of science that if we find out about these things, then we'll no longer be moral or religious anymore.
Yeah, for sure. It's science literacy is an issue, but not just knowing science facts, although that's part of it. People have to know how science actually works as a process. And this is a big debate in science education circles, people who teach science for a living and teach how it's taught for a living. And so that is content versus process. So students do have to know content. You have to know that the reason there are seasons is because of the tilt of the Earth's axis, not because of the distance from the Earth to the Sun. Mm-hmm. Just basic stuff like that even apparently Harvard students don't know very well. But you also have to know what it is that makes something scientific. Why is something science and something is not science? And so you have to know the process of experimentation and control groups and hypothesis testing and corroboration and peer review and all the little tools that go along with science that make it different from, say, religion or other things, other traditions. And that is harder to teach without actually having lab practicums that students actually run experiments and do hands-on stuff, and you don't get as much of that until late high school or even college, and so that's why educators want to include that as an element. You have both content and process, and so the studies that we've published in Skeptic and I've seen elsewhere is that just teaching students content doesn't reduce their level of belief in the paranormal in pseudoscience, for example. It's not enough just to know facts. You actually have to know why this paranormal claim can't be true. Because if you understand how science works, you could see, perpetual motion machines or psychic power just can't be true. Or the experiments that have been run on it, why they don't come out positively, and that you should know that. So it's both content and process.
Yeah, isn't the basis of science being able to look at evidence and be wrong? It's instead of knowing, it's the being okay with being unsure, as opposed to the much more comforting, I know exactly what this whole deal is, and I'll tell you what it is.
Right. Yeah, that's part of the process, that science starts off with questions. We don't assume the answer, even though we would like to, but we can't as scientists. We can't do that. And as opposed to, say, religion, where you already know the answer, and then you just go out and find evidence to fit it.
Right. Well, Michael Shermer, Dr. Shermer, excuse me. Skeptic Magazine, it is you already plugged it, nonprofit. It's nonprofit media, which I'm big on supporting. Every time I read it, I feel much, much smarter. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. And thank you so much for doing this interview with me. And
you're welcome.
And we'll see you soon.
Okay, on the other side, after the world ends.
Oh yeah. No, post-apocalyptic is my favorite apocalyptic.